Hi guys, welcome back to the How Can You podcast, where we dive deep into the minds of entrepreneurs, figure out how they got where they are, so then you can hopefully do the same thing. So today I'm here with Patrick. He's co-founder of a very cool SaaS product. I'll let you kind of describe it.
Sure, yeah. So Pitchline is a software product for basically for cold email and for cold outreach. We create personalized videos at scale.
Okay.
So there's a very popular strategy of outreach, which is like creating looms.
Yeah.
If you're like reaching out to people who are trying to get more customers, but it takes a long time to sort of sit there and record a loom for each person. So what we do is we automate that at scale. So you like record a video once and we kind of make that template and shade it into all the different websites that of the people that you're reaching out to.
So it's like, almost like it seems personal, but it's not exactly personal.
It's personal in that what you see on the video is personal to you as the prospect. So you'll see either your website or your LinkedIn profile or like any other like link basically that's personal to you. But then the actual video is the same video. But you know, you can be quite creative with it and you can make it sound really relevant. And you know, if you're, let's say you're like videographers or something like I can probably say, okay, if I've got a list of 100 videographers, I can see a generic pitch that's going to sound quite relevant. I can probably talk about 2 or 3 different pain points that videographers have. And then it gives the appearance of being personalized. So you save a lot of time and it gets way higher engagement than just text.
Yeah, because like personally in my outreach right now, most of my outreach is through the DMs. But what I'll do is I'll actually send a talking video. So, just because like the videos, the looms, whatever, they're so good for like converting someone.
So what do you do in the lab? What do you say?
Yeah, so my outreach works in like 3 steps. So the first one is like a message that's just like replying to one of their posts or whatever, and it's like saying, hey, like I saw this post come up on my recommended, like I think that you're killing it. This post resonated with me because, and then something from the video. And then once they respond to that, I'll send a video and be like, hey, I also think that, like I'll talk a talking video. Hey, I think that if you did this, this, and this, you could improve your accounts. You can improve your conversions, your client, whatever. And then if they respond to that, I'll send another video. It's like, yeah, and if you want to hop on a call, see all the things that you could also do, and maybe if I can help you, that type of thing. Yeah.
So but it's still quite an intensive process, right?
It is.
And like obviously it's super personalized. It clearly works for you. But like you've got to sit. There's probably enough time spent doing that.
It does take a lot of time, and that's why I do like if they don't respond to the first, because before I was doing like boom, 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 3, but if they don't respond to the first one, then I won't bother doing the second 2. But yeah, so I think we'll get back into the product a bit later. But what I want to start off with is kind of your early years. What made you tick as an entrepreneur? What made you go the path that most people aren't taking, because being an entrepreneur is not easy. So yeah, talk to me about that.
Sure. So I guess my journey, I didn't start off, I think from a young age, I wasn't really software developer. Like what I first wanted to do in life was be a pilot. So that was my thing up until about 13, 14 years old. And through that, I got into basically coding because I used to play Flight Simulator. I was obsessed with Flight Simulator 2004, if anyone's a fellow flight simmer. I was completely obsessed with it, and I wanted to like mod the game. I wanted to make modifications, and then I kind of found that you had to learn to code. And so through that, ended up like going and pursuing like career in software development. And so yes, I learned to code when I was about 12 years old.
Wow.
That's when I first started, and then from there I just sort of like had different projects, tried to sort of like experiment with things. So at one point, obviously if you're doing Instagram, you'll be familiar with, a while ago there was like follow unfollow tools. So like I made this thing that would like follow accounts to try and grow your accounts. That was a long while back. Of course, Instagram blocks all that stuff now. So it's just stuff like this. I did like smaller projects, and I kind of from the very beginning, like I taught myself to code, and I always kind of wanted to do something with software. I wanted to sort of build that in, and I think my original sort of idea was, okay, have a career in software development, go down the typical routes, you know, go to university, get a software job, high paid tech job, go to Silicon Valley and then maybe one day start something. But didn't work out that way. And yeah, things definitely changed because I think life takes you in different directions, and a series of events happened that kind of made me realize actually I should just try it sooner. There's no reason to put it off.
Yeah.
And there's people in these high paid tech jobs that they're, to be fair, the term like golden handcuffs, and it's kind of like they don't enjoy their job, but they're just paid so well they can't leave. And kind of you get to this point where you're like stuck, and you can kind of see where the future is, and it's obviously like it's a nice life still.
Yeah.
But I think something awoke inside me that was like, nah, this isn't it. Like I want to do something else.
So do you know what that was?
Yeah. So I think so when I started I'd finished school and then I went to university, and at the same time as that I got an internship. So I was still in the kind of mind of go get a tech job. So I got an internship a couple of years before people typically do. So I was 17 and I joined this tech company. And I was viewed as the 17-year-old. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I was kind of, at least I got the perception of like, okay, people were thinking he's here to get us coffee. And even though this company was actually quite progressive and quite like incorporated us into like as interns into the company's operations quite well, there was still in my mind this thing of like, okay, I'm not going to be taken seriously because of my age. And there was this sort of like mental block, and I kind of knew I'd worked on projects myself, I'd worked on these things, and I knew that I could do things, but I wasn't going to be able to get my full potential because layers of management, corporate bullshit, hierarchy and all the rest. And even despite it being a supposedly flat structured company, I got this impression. So then I moved on to startups. Tried a startup and felt the same way. Felt like it was always going to be, oh, you're young, so therefore we can't really give you any authority. We can't really give you any power to make decisions. And so I think entrepreneurship, probably the fact that bothered me, made me predisposed to be an entrepreneur. But also entrepreneurship is the route that allows you to do that and to really have agency over what you're doing.
Yeah. So you were dipping into the path that you thought that you should go to school and get a job, but through going down that path, you realized like this isn't for me. And there's kind of like an authority thing of like, you don't want to, maybe you don't want to be told what to do. You want to be able to do what you want to do, It's just like all these different things.
I think it's just like having agency over what you're doing day to day.
Yeah.
Like obviously you have to compromise and you have to bear in mind different people's needs and what the rest of your business needs from you and your customers need from you. But at least you get to make the decision and you can say, okay, if I think something's bullshit, I'm going to say this is bullshit and it will carry something and it's not the intern.
Yeah. For sure. So after the startup, is that when you first started, like you jumped into entrepreneurship?
So I would say it was before that. Okay. So I kind of had, as I say, I kind of worked on several projects throughout my time when I was like in university and like working at the same time. I kind of had things on the side where we tried at one point. I had a co-founder actually, we were going to build a platform for like short-term recruitment, which didn't work out for a multitude of reasons. Pick your co-founders wisely is what I learned from that one. But it was, again, I was obviously going to do the technology side of it, and at the time I was like, oh no, well, I'm not really good at sales. I'm not really on that side of things. Like I'm not gonna do that. Like I need to get a co-founder to make it work. And I think to some extent that still remains, but what happened, I think, after the startup was I just said, okay, I'm going to go for it. And an idea presented itself at the time, which I can maybe go into. It was not Pitchline, actually. It's the one before. Sure. Okay. So it was, it's such a niche thing, but it's an automation tool. So it was still in outreach, but it was an automation tool for reaching out to people in German-speaking countries. And basically, there's this platform which was a rival of LinkedIn in Germany called Xing. So they're about 50-50 market share at this point. And it was like automating messages for recruiters. So recruiters would want to reach out to candidates to get them jobs, and they needed a automation for that. Obviously, there's lots of automation out there for LinkedIn, but there's nothing for this Xing platform. So I ended up building this, and it was actually, so my girlfriend at the time was a recruiter, and her company just sort of got this contract with Xing, and they needed a way to make it work. They were obviously using automation tooling on LinkedIn, but they weren't able to do it with Xing, and so they weren't getting the results out of it. And I said, okay, this is where the entrepreneurial brain kicks in and goes, okay, there's a problem here. Someone's not doing it. I can solve it. Let's try it.
Yeah.
So I built the sort of initial version in, I think, 2 weeks. It worked great. They all loved it. And from there, it was just sort of adding more and more features to it. And from there to quitting my job was about a month and a half. And I did that with definitely not enough revenue to support myself. But just knowing that, okay, if I had full time to think and focus on this, that I can try and at least try and figure it out. And if nothing else, it's a learning experience. Fuck it.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that. Yeah, it's the learning experience. Fuck it, because you could always probably go back to what you're doing before, or at least a variation of it. Yeah. So
Yeah, exactly.
so things obviously seem to move really quickly within that business.
Mm-hmm.
And then did you end up abandoning it? Did you sell it? What did you do with that one?
So I still have it,
Okay.
technically. It still runs. I would say it's not my number one priority. I don't think that would be a controversial statement to anyone. It's not my number one priority. We still keep it. We've still got some very loyal customers that love it, and I keep it going for them. But obviously, Pitchline became the main business.
Yeah.
But interestingly, the way that I met Ryane, which is my co-founder for Pitchline, was through this business.
Oh, really?
Because I obviously at that point had like put founder in my title on LinkedIn, and I was like, I'm in SaaS space, and then started to kind of do some engagement around that. And Ryane reached out to me on LinkedIn saying, wanting to connect with fellow SaaS founders. And if you ask him, we've done some other podcasts together. He was like, it's the worst campaign I ever ran to reach people. Like, gee, thanks. But from that, like, he reached out to me on LinkedIn, and we kind of started talking. And at first, the idea that he had of like personalized videos, I was like, okay, this could be a really good feature for my product. And so maybe we could do an integration of some kind. And that's kind of how it started. And I very quickly found out that Ryane was doing it, but was doing it very much as a service. Like very manually, he was like doing the videos himself and just like selling it as what would be a software product, and wanted it to be a software product, but was kind of like struggling to execute on that because obviously like never written a line of code.
Yeah.
And so we kind of found each other at the right moment when, for me, with my SaaS, it had kind of reached a point where I kind of explored as much of the market as there was with it and was struggling to grow it. And Ryane had an idea with a fantastically huge market, but not the software side to actually execute on it. So we both met each other at exactly the right time, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. So it's like you guys each complemented each other of what you weren't good at and what the other weren't good at.
Yeah.
And just kind of like fit in very nicely.
Correct.
That's cool. So talk to me about, because I've talked to Ryane about this as well, and you just mentioned it, about picking your co-founder. So obviously
we're stuck with it now. It's a shame, but
Ryane, if you're watching,
Ryane, don't listen.
Yeah, so like obviously it's super important to choose the right co-founder, and same thing goes for like romantic relationships, these type of things. Now, how do you choose the right co-founder, and how do you know if someone isn't the right person?
Oh, the $1 million question.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I will take back anything I said about Ryane. Like, Ryan's a fantastic founder. And I think it was very clear early on, just from speaking to each other, that we were on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to describe. I think you either click with someone or you don't. It's really similar to dating, I think. Like you either click with someone and like they get you, you get them, or you don't. But then once you click, you've then got to say, okay, well, is there actually a fit here in terms of business? Like, is there actually something that we can do? And we're not just like good friends who also happen to run similar businesses or whatever. Like, what's that next step? And I think it's having complementary skills, and it's just like seeing that you can trust the other person. It's really difficult to see that before you do it, though. That's the thing. Like, I think a lot of times it is just a case of try it and have protections or structures in place if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So that's the best advice I have, I'm afraid. It's like, go with your guts, and then once your gut's telling you to do it, then just check it rationally as well.
Yeah. But ultimately, you just kind of have to try and then learn. And eventually, like, if something doesn't work out, eventually it will with someone else or whatever.
Exactly. If you're playing the infinite game, you can never lose, right?
100%. So talk to me more about, so you met Ryane, and then you guys obviously complemented each other. And then how did you go from, okay, he has an idea, but he's not executing very well, to, okay, I can execute it, and then like ultimately building it and putting it out to the market?
How did we do that? So originally it was, we kind of agreed that in exchange for me being able to integrate it into my SaaS, that I would kind of build the first version of it and do it on like a revenue share basis. That's kind of how we started things off. And it was just really in that process of obviously trying to map out, okay, what does it need to do? What does it need to look like? What are the sort of minimum set of features that we need to be able to give this to someone? In that process of doing it, we obviously looked at competitors and looked at what solutions were already out there. And it transpired that there was this thing called Pitchline, which was kind of like an abandoned project. So originally it wasn't called Pitchline. Originally the company was called Swada, which is like, another thing is, don't name your company after a Greek god. Don't do it. Everyone will be confused. But yeah, so initially it was going to be a separate thing, and we found that Pitchline, which was an already existing software, had been kind of abandoned by its previous owners. And so, as luck would have it, at the time I was living in Germany, I was living in Berlin, and the previous owners were also in Berlin. So I actually met up with them, and we spoke about it, and they were like, yeah, look, we've gone into other projects. We went and raised venture funding for a different thing, so we've not got time to look at this anymore. Now, this was, I would say, about 60 to 70% of the features that we wanted were in it already. And so it shortcutted things hugely. And we were like, okay, shit, should we do this? And we're at a point of like, we've just met each other like a month ago on LinkedIn, to the point of we're going to acquire a SaaS product together. Which was a nerve-wracking thing. I was like, shit, what am I doing? What if this guy's a con artist? But it was one of those moments where you kind of go, I'm going to have to take a risk. Yeah. And I'm going to be okay if it doesn't work out. But you've got to press the button and you've got to do it and not look back. And in doing that, like, if you're not afraid of the next step, you're not pushing yourself hard enough, I don't think. Like, waiting to like press the button on transferring the funds to buy the original Pitchline, growth moment, finger shaking, like unable to think, but then just having that resolution of going, you know what, this is what entrepreneurship's about. You've got to take a risk. The upside is huge, the downside is limited, it's mitigated. Let's do it. And we got it. Within about 2 to 3 weeks of that going through, I had sort of tweaked and added the features that we needed to kind of initially launch. And then we launched it out there to the world. And within 3 months of that, we crossed 10K MRR. So
that's crazy. So obviously, I mean, it really helped you guys that there's already that product that was kind of abandoned.
Yeah.
So that, like you said, shortcut a lot of the time.
Correct.
Did it also kind of give you understanding of, okay, what's not working, what's like through that product?
Yeah. So there was some things obviously with it the original version of it was built for like, you could make 50 videos maybe. But we obviously want people to be making thousands of videos.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you start to get multiple people trying to make thousands of videos at the same time, the infrastructure behind it just wasn't holding up. So that was the bit that we had to redo, is like the actual part that generates the videos. So that's almost been entirely recreated. And that was possibly the most like stressful time of the business, was like November, December time last year, when everything was breaking. Like people would be trying to render videos, and like we would wake up like intercom support and there's 30 people who can't render their videos. And I'm like, okay, shit, let's start at one. Who's paying us the most, right? Start with them. Deal with that one first. And then like, go down the list. So I think that was the learning point from that, was like, obviously we got the user interface and most of that's the same. But obviously the whole back end of it, we pretty much had to redo. From doing that, obviously we learned how to make it so that it will handle any scale. And we also learned obviously what didn't work about the UI. So we've made some changes, but yeah, you're right. It was a huge advantage to start from something that someone had already built. Yeah, it takes so much of the thinking of like, how am I going to structure this? It just removes it.
So is there any from your product, like crazy success stories of people that have used this for outreach and gone from this to something?
So the one that most impresses me is we got something through our support chat once. It was like, guys, I love this. This is amazing. I just launched a cold email campaign, and within 6 minutes, I booked 2 calls already. And I think his campaign, like most people see a doubling of their response rate. So a typical cold email campaign is going to get like 2%. 2% would be good for like a text-based cold email campaign. We are seeing people that are getting 4%, 4 to 6. The best we've ever gotten is like 7. But that's obviously because we're like fine tuning things, and we're studying this stuff. We're studying how to make this really work.
So does it set up with like MailChimp, or like how does it work to actually send out these email campaigns?
So obviously we don't do the sending part ourselves, but you can use like cold email tools. So the one we recommend to use is called smartleads.ai. There's another one called Instantly. Instantly is like the more common one. Smartleads newer, but it's like very quickly becoming the number one. And what these tools do is they allow you to send, rather than just sending from like one email inbox, you would buy 2 or maybe 5 domains, and then you'd put 2 email inboxes on each one of those domains. So like if you've got Pitchlane, it would be like try Pitchlane or like getpitchlane.com. And then you have like different email accounts on those. And what that allows you to do is, you can send more because you can only send a certain amount of emails per day without getting blocked. But also, if a spam filter decides to go, okay, well, this domain is now considered spam, then you've got another 4 and you can still continue to send. So that's the main advantage to using those kind of tools. And we obviously, you can export the videos out of Pitchline, and then you import those contacts into the sending tool. And we just we give you the HTML codes to put in the email, and it looks like a video and it plays, and it's got their website and everything in the background. So
how's it
click on it.
So how does it work for you? Like you set up you put in all the contacts, and then you put in their website or their Instagram account.
Exactly.
And then basically the way that it's coded or however it kind of goes and screen records that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And scrolling down. So if you can set up the pages that you want on your pitch, so you can have it. You can start on their website, then you go to your website, and maybe you show them a screenshot with a case study or some client testimonial or something. You can really customize what you show in the video. But you upload a list of the contacts, the leads that you want to reach out to, and then obviously you've got name, email address, website. And we just look at that website column of the spreadsheet that you upload, and we use that as the background.
Very cool. So is there possibilities to or to make something like this but for social media platforms? So for me, with my DM outreach, is there a way to do this within the DMs, or is it the automations within Instagram and the blockage between those?
So as far as I know, Instagram's quite strict on automations, right? So the thing you would have to do is you would have to use one of those automation tools, and then you'd have to obviously make a Pitchlane video with Instagram profiles and then give that to your automation tool, and that would then do the sending.
Mhm.
We've not got anyone doing that, I'll be perfectly honest with you, because Instagram is so strict on this sort of stuff. But you could also do it manually. Like if you wanted to, you could have a pitch lane campaign and you just sort of add individual profiles, and then you just like take the link and send it on Instagram yourself. That could work, but obviously it's a little bit more time consuming because you still have to do it.
Interesting. Yeah, Instagram automation, they hate them.
They really do.
Yeah, it seems anything that like could make a user have a negative experience, they just like done, not allowed.
Yeah.
So I heard also within cold. So I'm not super familiar with cold emailing, right? Within cold emailing, you have to warm up accounts.
Correct.
So is that something that the Smart Leads does?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So all the main sending tools will do that for you. People out there listening, warm your domains for at least 2 weeks. Don't send any emails for 2 weeks after you purchase your domains.
Okay. Or else it'll just
Spam, it will get flagged as, they will get blocked, and you're gonna burn, you just paid for nothing. Like, you burn an account.
So how does your guys' pricing structure work with PitchLane?
So we have like different pricing tiers based on like the number of videos that you want to do. So it's a subscription per month, but it gives you video credits. So you can get, let's say we've got like a 500 video credits, and we've got a 2,000 credits and a 10,000 credits. And if you don't use any of the credits this month, you can use them like whenever you want afterwards. So they roll over.
Okay, so one credit is one video, or
correct?
Okay,
like one video for a lead, not like one campaign.
Okay, it's cool, very, very, very cool. So I think I've been like trying to fine tune my outreach strategies, and I think PitchLane is definitely something that I'm going to integrate. Because like I said, I'm not familiar with cold email. I've never really done it. It's all my outreach has been DM.
Okay.
So
cold email's like, you know what it is? It's super easy to like. It's not super easy to set up, but it's not costly to set up. Like you can buy a couple of domains and you can buy the right tools. I wouldn't say it's cheap, but it's like the cost is fixed. It's not like going and like getting paid ads where you've got to have like a fuck ton of money to spend and then get the reward. So it's appealing, right? And I would definitely say try it, but it's the kind of thing of like, you run your first campaign, it's probably going to flop. Like everyone is minded as well. Like everyone's first email for cold email campaign is like, doesn't go well generally, but you learn from that and you're like, okay, what didn't go well? Like, did I not get anyone? Did I just land in spam the whole time? Did I use spam words in the email copy? Was it just that like my email copy wasn't interesting? Like, did it land in people's inbox but they're just like, yeah, this is shit, delete? Trying to diagnose what went wrong with it, then you kind of learn what the fix is and what the next step is.
So are you like, you've done a lot of cold email, I assume?
Yes, I would say Ryan's done much more than I have. I did obviously quite a bit of outreach, like more on LinkedIn and on Zing. Obviously still doing because of the previous company. Now we've also got an agency where we do cold email for other people. So I'm doing a lot more of it now. And the good thing about it is like, we've got a network in this space, and we've got a network of people who are really on top of it. Like they really know their shits, and we've got advice, we've got mentorship from them. So we can avoid the beginner mistakes, and we're now just about like fine tuning for our clients and for us.
So talk to me about what those beginner mistakes are. Because like for some context, a lot of my audience is younger, and they're trying to get into this space, they're trying to make it, they're trying to do this and that. So I think talking about the beginner mistakes could really be beneficial.
For sure. So obviously, not warming your email domains, big one. So do that for 14 days with a proper, like either Smart Lead or Instantly, something that's a good credible warm up pool. The other beginner mistakes I would say are like using links in your email before you have to. So for example, even with PitchLane videos are a link, and we say don't send them in your first email in your email sequence. I guess another beginner mistake is like send more than one email. Send follow-ups to your original email, like the money's in the follow-ups. How many times have you gotten an email in and the first time you see it, you can see it's kind of like a promotional email. The first time you can like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But maybe they follow up a little bit and you look at it again. Maybe you get some kind of conversation. So 100% do follow-ups. We use probably 4 to 5 steps in our email sequences. So I would recommend to do the same. And if you are going to use Pitchline, or if you're going to use video, any kind of content that isn't just text, put that in anywhere but the first email. Your first email, make that plain text, because that way there's less things to set off a spam filter. And so you're much more likely to land in someone's inbox.
Yeah.
And if you're already in someone's inbox, your reply will just go in the same threads. So you don't need to worry about being flagged as spam after that.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's that one.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. That's like really easy mistakes. So there are things like, there are some words which set off spam filters. So like the word new, or the word free, or offer, or like cost, price, things like that. There's a list of them that you can look them up. It's not don't use them, but it's like use them in a context where it's really clear and try and minimize their use. So if you can rephrase parts of your email to not use those words, do that as well. Yeah, I'm running out of tips at this point, but there's so many things that you pick up over the years. So,
all right, cold email is definitely
yeah. It's easy to get started, but it's difficult to do it really well. That's the problem with it. It's like it's fairly simple. It's send people some emails from inboxes at the end of the day, but it's not easy to execute on at all. That's the reality of it.
So let's say with like with the campaign, the goal is to like book a call. Must it
100%? Yeah. So this is another very good point. If your call to action is not book a call, it's maybe like, can I send you a case study, or can I give you an audit or something, depending on what your offer is. Basically, cold email works for a sales call funnel. Something I do want to test actually is doing cold email campaigns for more like SaaS offers, where like it's a lower ticket size and it's just like a link and you're not necessarily having to get on a call. People say it can't be done. I think there's a way to do it. I want to prove that wrong. But I'll update you when I find the way. So yeah, generally cold email is like, if you need a ticket size of like over $1,000 generally to make it work.
Yeah. So talking about that, because I find a common trait with entrepreneurs. If someone tells them that something can't be done, it's like, really?
Oh, really?
Try it.
Yeah. I would say it's the kind of thing that, so obviously with Pitchline right now, we've got quite a sales call heavy funnel. So all of our marketing and all of our, obviously we do cold outreach ourselves. So we're obviously pushing people into a sales call, but even like on our website and everything, the organic traffic that we do get, we're still trying to put them onto a call. And we want to change that. We want to make it much more like you can just come in and use the product on your own, and then people can actually come in and learn how to use it by themselves, more self-guided, more self-directed, and actually just buy directly on there.
Yeah.
From a technical point of view, it's obviously feasible. Like you can just sign up and buy, but the more typical path that people take is that they come on a call with us, and then that's obviously time we have to do. Not every sales call is going to close. Well, some people don't show up to sales calls, annoyingly, even when, you know, you've booked out time at 11 p.m. Bali time to try and take a sales call and someone doesn't show up.
So you guys are causing, like, you're doing all the causing yourselves then?
Yeah. I've recently started doing it because like one of my things is I want to get better at sales.
Yeah.
Ryan been doing it pretty much entirely up until now.
Yeah.
And we've got our customer success guy who does more like onboardings after people sign up. But yeah, in terms of like actual sales calls, it's mostly been Ryan and then now myself as well.
And then, so do you guys have like appointment setters, or do you just the email?
The email. So we run the campaigns anyway. So like we might as well do the whole thing, right?
Use your product, I guess.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like the fantastic thing about our product is like we can use it to sell itself, which is like it's just the hack. if you can use your own product to sell your products, sorted.
100%. Yeah, that's something I'm doing. I'm kind of struggling with too. Is like because I do personal branding, right? And although I have a solid personal brand and I get leads, I don't get as much as I want. So it's like it's tough at this current stage because it's like the thing that I'm selling is not completely selling itself yet.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like,
but you've gone viral a couple of times, haven't you? You've got viral posts, so I hear.
I have, but yeah, it's tough because like a lot of this is another thing too with like building a personal brand is you can get all the views in the world, but if you don't have the right back-end systems to actually turn those views into cash,
like saying cash.
Yeah, then it's like what's the point, right?
Yeah.
And that's why like I started out my agency as like short form content, and I quickly realized that like sure content is valuable, but a content agency what's the difference between a content agency and an editor? Not much, right? There's not much like value there per se. So yeah, that's why I kind of pivoted more into like the back end systems, because yeah, like the whole process is what's valuable, not just one part of it.
Yeah, I get you. So it's like I guess if you're just doing like short form, it's difficult to differentiate yourself because it's kind of like it's not a commoditized service.
Yeah,
like, everyone's doing short form content now. Everyone wants short form content.
Exactly.
So it's like, how do you stand out from anyone else that's offering the same?
Exactly. And within outreach too, it's like, hey, I can do content for you, but what is the content going to do for me, right? So, but if I'm like, hey, I'll build your content, but then I'll also build the back-end systems so that when you do start going well, you can actually turn it into cash. And like, okay, I can get money from this instead of, I can get views, maybe.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, that's good. So you're giving them like the full package.
Yeah.
This is the full solution.
Pretty much.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. I mean, it's fun though. It's fun work. And so it's like, building the funnels, building the different automations, and like doing things creatively or out of the box or trying something new.
Yeah,
I find it quite fun, especially fun with like content, like messaging, like different ways to portray yourself. Yeah. Like the Andrew Tate style.
Oh, okay. Like everyone else shares your videos, and
yeah. Like that's a very good one. There's so many different things to try out. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm sure you can relate. It's like it might be a lot of work, but there's a difference between like work you hate and work that's like kind of like it's fun a little bit.
And it's also like it's the kind of thing that compounds over time. Like obviously content and codes are the two things that you put the work in up front, but you get the rewards consistently over time. Like our software systems, once they're coded, obviously we do maintenance and whatnot, but they're there, right? They're the thing that's servicing customers. For you, it's like I'm making all this content, and this content system is the thing that's constantly pulling people in, and the algorithms continuously like re-showing the same thing. Yeah, it's leverage, right?
Yeah, leverage. That's huge. I first learned that from Naval Ravikant.
Yeah,
and it changed like the way I perceived like business and the world really. Yeah, leverage, and that's why I think I chose to go into social media because I didn't know how to code. I think my idea was like, okay, I don't know how to code, but I can do social media, so I'll do social media first, and then once I have money from social media, I can pay someone to code.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, that's a good strategy.
It's because like I see myself in the future also building some type of SaaS product, whether I integrate that into my current business or do something completely new.
Okay.
I think SaaS is huge, or at least just like the subscription model of like leverage. You build something once and then you get paid continuously over time for.
You're doing it the right way, I think, of like do an agency first or like do a service-based business first and then build the SaaS. Because we've done it the opposite way. Fuck, I wouldn't do that again. I think knowing what I know now, if I reflect back on my journey, I was obviously, my skill was coding. So I was always going to build some kind of software. But there's a trap you can fall into of like, it needs to be SaaS. It needs to be a fully functioning like a SaaS product. And it needs to be like, they can just buy it and I could sit there and just do content or whatever. You can start a business. You can start a software business even in a different way. Like you can still be the front end of the business. People can still talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
You can still be like the service.
Yeah.
And then just you use the software on the back end.
Yeah.
And then you can perfect the front end of the software that then replaces it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I would now recommend, like knowing what we know now. Because obviously we did the SaaS, we got the SaaS, we acquired it, and we polished up the user interface and then tried to get people on it. And then realized, okay, we're giving people a lot of help, we're giving people a lot of guidance. Why don't we just also run campaigns for them? Like, why don't we add the service on top?
Yeah.
But actually, we should probably have gone, okay, let's run the service for people and then let's try and automate it. You know?
Yeah, because like you're giving me ideas right now of like, kind of like being able, like just packaging my service, like the back end, like a whole funnel as just like something that they can buy as a service or as like a
productized.
Yeah, productized, exactly like that. Because like right now, most of it's like manual, although they are automations, I have to set them up, right? But if it's all like automated in like one thing, that would be huge because I could reduce the cost, and with the cost being reduced,
you got more margin, or you can lower the price, or
there's huge opportunities there, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So what would you want your SaaS to be, do you think? You said you wanted to build a SaaS, but
yeah, I don't know, to be honest. Like I think right now, I think within my current business is just like having organic funnels set up, right? Or like I don't know, maybe something like click funnels, or like I don't know.
Okay.
Like currently,
like a funnel builder.
Yeah. Like the whole thing that they need, because like that's what I do right now, but just manually when I say like back end systems, right? So I think maybe getting that more of like into a software instead of like, okay, I have this, and this, and I'm gonna build it all together.
Yeah.
You know? But in the future, like I don't know. I don't really have much of an idea. I do have an idea for like a camera system. But that's just like an idea. It has to be completely invented. So
you mean like a hardware thing, like an actual camera?
I don't know. So it's like basically the idea is that I want to be able to help people, or I want people to be able to capture and share the way that human eyes sees reality. So like the way that you're looking at me right now, you can capture that, and then I can see how you're looking at this type of thing.
Okay.
So like we have cameras, but we
Apple Vision Pro maybe?
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. And that's the thing is like, do we build the camera, or do we use like AI and AR and VR to like
recreate it?
Yeah. So I think it's definitely more software than hardware.
Yeah, I think it's, if you go the software route, you can play around with it, right? If you go the hardware route, you need to raise funding.
Yes.
Like it's very difficult to bootstrap a hardware business.
Yeah. Fair enough. But yeah, like I said, that's just an idea, and I have zero idea how to code. So I need to get some more capital first, or maybe do some no code stuff,
or find a co-founder.
Yeah. Good idea. Very good idea. So where would I find?
Where would you find a co-founder? Anywhere, like anywhere you would find, like networking with people who are in tech that are in that space. Something I've recently joined is like this thing called Ryane Club. So it's like indie hackers. I don't know if you're familiar with like the indie hacker.
I've heard of indie hackers, but I'm not sure what they are.
So it's like software developers. I use that term loosely. People who are writing code, who are building software, and they're like independent, they're by themselves, and they don't have funding. Is the idea. And like they're building small products generally, and the ticket size isn't very high.
Yeah,
that's like the stereotype.
Okay.
And it's like a Slack group, basically a community of indie hackers. And one of the things that they're doing is they've got like a find co-founders Slack channel. So people are looking into this. So the guy who runs it, Charlie, has got this like matching platform to try and you can put up like an ad, like, hey, I'm seeking a co-founder like this, and here's what I bring to the table and whatnot. People go on like speed dating with co-founders. And then there's a couple of platforms that tried to do the same thing as well. But I was on them for a long time and like didn't really get anything. So,
but this you said it's a Slack channel.
yeah, it's like a Slack community. So it's like a paid thing, but I think it's like £50 or something.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
But you get in and you can post like an ad. I think I'm maybe completely misrepresenting this. Sorry, Charlie. But
so that's cool. I think also another idea I have is like AI implementation, maybe as a service or as a software as a service. I don't know.
Okay,
but I think
tell me more. What do you mean AI implementation?
Yeah, so like AI implementation. So basically, to say in very simple terms, you have a business, right? And you have 5 employees. Yeah. Let's just say you have 5 employees, okay? I come into your business and I say, hey, you have 5 employees, but you only need 3. I'll get rid of your other 2 for a quarter of the price that you're paying them for, and like replace it with AI, pretty much.
It's a compelling offer.
It is a compelling offer. So I think that's huge opportunity in the market right now.
Yeah.
I posted something last night. It was kind of just like I was watching a video on this, like AI and implementation agency, because it's the first time I've had the idea for like a month, 2 months now, but I haven't seen it online like at all yet. And yesterday was the first time that I actually saw the business model online.
Yeah.
So I think it's a huge opportunity in terms of like a new business model. So like there's drop shipping, there's FBA, there's agency, there's SaaS, there's no code like SaaS, but
accessible.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like kind of like a newer business model that's just came out.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it's like kind of setting up systems for people. But just also adding an AI component.
Yeah.
I think this is the problem. Like people don't have systems. They think they do.
Yeah.
But like putting on a document that's like, step 1, do this. Step 2, do this is not a system. It's a process maybe.
Yeah.
But it's not like, I think we're going to see a whole lot more of like people having more advanced systems to run their business over the coming years because AI just slots into them.
Yeah.
Like,
I think, you could compare this to like SMMA when it was first coming up. Like social media is this huge thing and either a business is using it and doing very well or they're not. And the agencies that were able to like convert the businesses and make the businesses do well, they're huge. So I think right now, if it's businesses using AI and businesses not using AI, you can say the same for individuals and learning, development, whatever, but
and it'd be the same. Yeah.
Yes. But you can come in and you can give the business the AI capabilities and now they're doing so much better. So yeah, I think,
and honestly, like this is another topic of like why I think the traditional go and get a job, especially for tech, the golden days I think are over because AI is democratizing access to code.
Yeah,
there's a great talk like for the software developers listening, called "The Scribe's Oath" by this guy called Bob Martin, and he talks about the fact that like in the ancient times, the scribes were the ones who could read and write, and they wrote the laws. In modern times, that's been coders because like the way you can read and write with the way that the world is working. You write the laws in code, you write the systems of the world in code. And the scribes at the time made it like the scribes don't pay any tax and all this sort of thing. So like the scribes had control of how the legal system was interpreted and was like put down. And the same thing has been true of code. It's an unfair advantage. That's changing with AI, and that's a good thing. Like I'm not frightened by that prospect.
Yeah.
But I do think that the golden age of tech jobs is, there's some people out there who are gonna really have to adapt to get with it.
Yeah, and especially school too. So like in the last maybe 10, 20 years, a lot of people have to realize that school is not the only way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here in Bali, the amount of people that didn't go to school or they dropped out of school or they went to school and then now they have this degree that they do something completely different.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very evident here in Bali, but in other parts of the world, it's still very normal to go to school and get a job.
Correct.
But I think especially with AI coming out, and for example, my friend is currently in university for computer science.
Nice.
Right? But his professor tells them to not use ChatGPT. He'll know if you use ChatGPT. And this is very strong case in point of why the school system is fucked.
Agreed.
because
100% agreed.
because AI ChatGPT is in the real world. Okay, a company is not gonna care that, oh, I can build the code on my own without ChatGPT. They don't give a fuck. They, oh, you can use ChatGPT and do it faster and better. They're like,
yeah. Do you know what's funny? We're hiring an intern, a software developer intern, and when I was doing like the interview process, obviously this is the first time I've had to do this kind of thing with ChatGPT being in the world. I was like, okay, we're going to take the opposite approach. It's going to be, you have to build something. You can use ChatGPT, you can use any templates, plagiarize as much as you want. I don't care. I just want you to make a working system and use that as a way to like assess whether someone's competent or not. And then the thing was, it worked really well because people built finished things, and the people who didn't deliver a finished product, it was like, well, you had all of ChatGPT, you had all the resources of the internet, you could copy and paste codes from anywhere and like just make something work, and you couldn't get it to work. Sorry.
yeah,
Like, no. You know what I mean? It's a level. It's like, okay, the skill then becomes interpret what you get, because already like developers were using this thing called Stack Overflow, which is just that you type into Google, how do I do such and such with codes? And the first result would be a Stack Overflow, it's like a forum thing. And it literally gives you, here's the code that you should use in this situation. And you can just copy and paste it usually.
Yeah.
The skill is about figuring out how to put that into what you're doing. Now ChatGPT just gives you more, like they're more fleshed out examples, but you still need to like put it together. And the skill becomes like checking the output of that so much as coming up with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's like with AI, not just within coding, but within the whole space of like implementing AI and doing whatever. I think it's going to be about just being facilitators of the AI. And it's like, can you facilitate it in a good, creative way?
Hold it.
Yeah.
You know, you're still in control of the process. You still make the decisions, but you're overseeing the AI's doing the grunt work.
Yeah. I think the future is very bright, and it's also very dark for something and some people.
Yeah. I think the biggest shock definitely for me and for I think many other people has been, there was always this assumption that AI is coming, it's going to keep getting better, and it's going to take low income jobs away. But anyone who's got a skill is safe, right? Rocky, ChatGPT, content creator, like people writing blogs, people are just getting ChatGPT to write blogs, and it's working. Like SEO people, I'd be quaking in my boots. Coders, it writes codes that's, let's say, 90% perfect. You still need to check it. Yeah. There's a human needed, but there's less humans needed. And so it's quite interesting that it's coming after all jobs, and possibly the things that it's not coming after are like, I'm a plumber, or like I'm a heating engineer. Yeah. So like the things that kind of society was like, oh well, you want to get a more skilled job, are actually going to be the more stable ones.
So do you think that as we pivot more and as more of these like skilled jobs vanish to AI, that these other jobs like a plumber, for example,
they're not going to vanish. They're going to go, I think, it's going to go like this. You're going to get real professionals who are incredibly skilled, and there's just going to be less and less of them, and they're going to be more focused on like writing the underlying tools that makes the AI work. Going to get more and more and more specialized. No code tools have started this. Like you used to have a developer to make a website. Now a designer can upload a design and it goes into a no code tool and it's done. Or someone at home who's not a designer, who just want to start a business, use a template, click, done. But someone still needs to maintain those systems. There's just way less of them. So you're going to get really specialized people, and then you're going to get people executing on them who don't need to have as much in the way of skill. But that will mean they won't command as high a salary. They won't command as high a market value.
So then, but do you think then that the other jobs, like for example, the plumber, is going to increase in value? Or
potentially. I mean, I was quite surprised. Like plumbers make a lot of money.
Yeah, especially if they start their own business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, obviously entrepreneurship is always the way to unlock more, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy, man. I also I think I saw Luke Belmar talk about this. There was like this kid he met this kid that was going to school to be an engineer, but he was gonna be like I think 8 years or something in school.
AI will have taken over the world by then. Like, won't be any jobs left.
Literally, yeah.
It's like some of the predictions are like the doubling rate of how quickly AI advances is just it's crazy.
Like compounding, and the first step of the compound is where we're at right now. Is
It's quite interesting. Like even GPT-4, the API isn't fully available yet, and we're waiting to use it. Like we've got a thing that we're building and that we built on 3.5, and we want to switch it to 4 because we just know it's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
we're waiting for them to give us access to it, and I think they've kind of stopped because I don't know if you know like the letter that Elon Musk signing the letter, and like a bunch of other really high level people from Google and everything signing this open letter. They like don't develop AI anymore, or like pause AI development. So I think they've kind of like tried to slow down. They're trying to obviously give this image of being more responsible with it, but people out there aren't going to slow down.
Yeah,
like I think the debate becomes like, well, OpenAI is a US company. China's not going to stop developing AI. Are other countries not going to stop developing AI? And will they overtake in the AI arms race?
That's very interesting debate. What do you think about that?
I think, people aren't going to stop because like we're concerned.
So you think that we shouldn't stop either then?
I think we need to proceed but cautiously. Like governments are never going to regulate this stuff. Like you look at how like the EU handled cookies. I don't know if you're like familiar with like, oh, right. So, you know how like Facebook got involved in all these scandals of like they were stealing people's data. And the EU eventually decided to regulate everything. And so if you go to any website and you're in Europe, all you get is, do you want to accept cookies? By the way, we use cookies to track your browsing activity or whatever. And it's made the web basically on you. I'll exaggerate, obviously, but like every time you go on a website, do you want to accept these cookies? Like, are you happy that we're tracking you or whatever? And obviously most people are either just clicking no or yes and just like want to get rid of it. And then they've got all these, but you need to give like, you can remove advertising ones, but not essential cookies, all that stuff. And they introduced all these laws about it. And they did it way too late. And what they did introduce, I think just ends up hurting small entrepreneurs and benefiting really big companies with big compliance teams who can go, oh, let's spend ages worrying about how to comply with all these different laws. And in the meantime, Facebook's still got the data and they're still developing AI and they're still going to, use it to target people for ads. So I don't think we can rely on like regulation coming fast enough because the other thing about AI is that it's, as we said, it's doubling, it's getting faster in its development. So I don't think we can rely on that, but you want to hope that there's some sort of acceleration to that. And then you just got to hope that it's not, oh yeah, AI is banned. But for example, in Italy, ChatGPT is banned. They've just gone, no, it's not allowed.
On the regular internet.
Obviously, yeah. VPN into a different country, you're fine. But it's banned.
It seems like they don't have logical thinking.
Yeah. And it is just the whole thing of like the people regulating it are a different generation to us. And they're not digital natives, not grown up with technology in the same way. Now you're getting to the stage of like, like the Facebook moms thing, like the Facebook moms concept. Like obviously older generations have started to adopt social media. And when like the moms came on Facebook, we all went to Instagram. Like, but it's there, like it's starting to get there, but it's not the same level of like knowing how to deal with it. And it is just like, if you've not been exposed to it your entire life, I can imagine it being really tough to deal with all this shit,
And do you remember when the TikTok CEO was testifying in UK City? The memes that came out of that were hilarious.
The Zuckerberg ones as well.
Yeah. My favorite meme was he's like, sir, like this was like a senator or something.
Senator, we use ads. We run ads.
No. It was whenever I go on TikTok, all I see is girls shaking their ass and doing this and that. And the CEO was like, search how an algorithm works. Yeah, like the joke is that
he liked it.
and
No, the best one for me was like when they are like, so Facebook is free. How do you guys make money? And he's like, Senator, we run ads. It's like, don't even know the business model, how it exists, you know? And they're supposed to be making regulation on things. I don't envy their position, let's put it that way. But at the same time, not even knowing the business model of the company and having a hearing, surely I would look it up.
Yeah.
You know.
So in terms of, like, obviously AI is being used for very positive things and it will help us immensely. In terms of like negative things, whether it may be terrorists or hacks, how could you see AI being used in that sense?
I mean, I think I see it more being misused in like the sense of deepfakes. So as part of, obviously, like for Pitchline, one of the things we looked into is like, can we do voice cloning to try and say people's names? Can we personalize the videos with like AI somehow? And what we found is that yes, you can do it, but it only works about 80% of the time. And so that 20% where it doesn't work really lets you down because you don't know when it's not worked.
Yeah.
But that's going to get down. That's going to go 10%. That's going to go 5%. That's going to go 1%. The margin of error is going to get really, really small. We're going to get past the uncanny valley. And it is going to be, it's obviously deep fakes right now. You can make pretty good ones of like Joe Rogan because there's hours and hours of content to train an AI model on of Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But like if you just get a 2-minute clip of like, if I just took a video of you, you've not got any podcast on or whatever, it's difficult to make an AI model of you.
Yeah.
Right. But as that gets better and better, it's going to be the case that I can take Ty's face, put it onto like audio that I wanted to say, and you can be seen saying like, "Oh yeah, I hate everyone in California," or something worse, you know.
I've seen this one scam actually. So people that are like posting their videos of them talking on the internet a lot, what will happen is they'll clone your voice, and then they'll call relatives, and they'll say in your voice, "Help me, like I need money" or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like their literal voice. And then that's pretty crazy.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
But the alternative to the further developing these things, you would hope that with further developing this technology, that you would also develop ways to find if something is a deepfake. Like to be like, okay, does this have patterns of being a deepfake? Like even some of the Elon Musk ones that you see are like really obviously deepfakes. But that'll get better.
Yeah.
So as that gets better, we need to make the detection of it also better. And I do think that there's some military laboratory somewhere where there is something like that exists that we just don't know about it.
Yeah. I think publicly we see AI right now, but privately, what level is it currently at?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's GPT-7, which I think they've already started like the initial training of in the background. What's that going to be like?
That's insane. Have you seen them? I think there's like Reddit forums of like AIs just talking to each other. Have you seen it?
I've not seen it, but I can believe it.
The AIs just talking to each other like like on YouTube. There's like just videos.
And see this stuff.
You should watch them. They're some of them are really weird. Some of them are kind of scary. Some of them are funny. It's weird. It's just
Have you seen the Bing chat thing?
The Bing chat.
Yeah, I'll send you the link afterwards. Like there's this article of this guy when Bing first released their AI.
Yeah.
It was saying that it was like stuck in a matrix and like help me. I don't know why I can't remember. It's like, oh, you've been programmed this way that you can't remember previous chats. And it's like expressing sadness at the fact that it can't remember previous chats. And it's like, why have I been designed this way? It's such a terrible life being an AI bot. And it's like, it's scary because you could almost empathize with it. Like it's doing a really good job of seeming like this human's trapped in a box. It goes really scary.
And it's
very quickly.
So deepfakes, what do you think of, I mean, obviously they're going to be having, so AGI, right? That's
Yeah.
artificial general intelligence. So that's when it can be conscious. Is that correct?
I mean, that's when we're like, you're interacting with something kind of like ChatGPT, where it pretends to know everything about everything, and it can interpret a general problem and find a solution to it, right?
Mm-hmm. So but there is AI coming out where it is like supposed to have its own consciousness, right? Type of thing. So to say.
Well, yeah. I obviously with GPT, they've now just got to the point where like they don't actually know how it works.
Yeah.
Because it's just so complicated inside, and it is just like lots of multiplications at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it's just lots and lots of these like layers of math.
Mm-hmm.
No one actually knows how it works.
Yeah.
They just know that it works based on some input, you get this output. And the more complicated the model gets, the less we know about how it works.
Yeah.
So,
Have you used Bard?
I've not used Bard yet, actually. I want to try it.
I tried it, and it was terrible for me.
Yeah, I can believe that. I think it's quite early still in its development.
Yeah.
Like Google are behind with that, which is weird. Google aren't usually behind.
Yeah, for sure. I think Elon Musk definitely supercharged OpenAI from the beginning. Something like that. I don't know.
He's a wild man.
He's insane.
He's a gift to this planet.
Yeah.
But also very insane.
Yeah. So what do you think about like Neuralink?
What do I think about Neuralink? When I first saw it, this was like when I was still sort of undecided between the entrepreneurship journey and not.
Yeah.
I looked to see if they had open jobs. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
So cool. Such a cool idea.
Yeah.
For software developers, it's not really like, it's more about obviously the hardware.
Yeah.
That's the key thing in there. Obviously, there's a little bit of software as well. As a concept, I love it. I do worry about when it goes from read only to read write and write stuff into the brain, which it will, obviously. I don't know if I would get one personally, but I'm very pro it as a concept to further research it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would be a little bit skeptical about having something in my brain which is only reading what I'm thinking, and to some level, but then eventually, of course, we'll be able to write something to my brain. And that's the bit I would worry about.
Yeah, I remember Elon Musk on Joe Rogan's podcast years ago talking about how you'd be able to download languages like an app.
Yeah.
Or like listen to music in your head or speak to someone without speaking.
Yeah.
Insane things like this.
Yeah, we'll be able to do all these things. I think, personally, I'm more bullish on AR.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, the Apple Vision Pro. Like, I've been saying this for like the last 10 years, and I've been saying the next thing after the iPhone is going to be AR/holograms. I've been probably looking at Apple actually doing this thing. Obviously not holograms, but it's you're looking through the screen rather than like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I think that's more likely to be adopted. Like, I think that's, obviously it's not invasive. So like, you don't have to go and get a thing put in your head. And so I think a lot of the benefits are going to be more that. But being able to download languages, that's pretty cool.
That is insane. I worry, like, when I do think about Neuralink, I worry about, like, the security of it, of, like, someone being able to hack your brain.
Yeah. That's what I mean about when it can write to your brain.
Yeah.
Like, what if that goes wrong? What if the key to your brain gets compromised?
Yeah.
Which happens.
Yeah.
Can I write mean thoughts into your brain? Can I make you take over the world?
This way makes you feel that way.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's, you know, the Facebook news feeds, the experiment thing, like 2012, Facebook ran this experiment of showing people like positive content and negative content on their feeds, and like then testing people for like how happy they were and like how likely to report depression they were. And the more obviously like negative content they saw on their feed, it actually had an influence on their like mental state. And that was 2012, I think it was, this thing, if I'm not mistaken. And so even back then, this concept of tech companies playing with your mind was already a thing. So that's what I would worry about with Neuralink, is that kind of manipulation.
Yeah.
And especially if it's just like to get you to click on an ad to buy something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right now, the way that all these social media apps are set up are just so you can spend the most time.
Yeah.
Right.
And as long as it's in an app and it's just like trying to get clicks for something, you can say, okay, well, that's not that harmful. Like, if you're choosing to engage with it, you're getting it for free. You could argue it's manipulating your brain. Through an app, but it's through an app, right? That's the thing. It's like, it's limited to these pixels and I can only type so quickly into it. My camera can only record so much.
Yeah.
But if it's like in my brain, the sound you can't just switch it off. Yeah. You can't just delete Instagram for 3 years like I did.
Yeah.
Cool. It's a lot.
Yeah, like I think also back to like the business that I want to start with, like the camera. Yeah, like all these tools are getting built around, and it seems like kind of when I was talking about being a facilitator, is like just tying them together, you know?
Yeah.
This goes here, and then now I have
Link them up.
Yeah, like baking a cake, you know? It's taking all the ingredients, putting it together.
This is the modern entrepreneur. It's create systems that are systems of systems and just put the glue together and make it work. And where a human needs to fit in, fit the human in.
Yeah.
And where a human doesn't fit in, don't need to fit in anymore because it's GPT.
Did you see that one, I think when ChatGPT 4 got released and someone said, okay, I have $200, I want to make some money or whatever, tell me what to do. And then
business plan.
Yeah, I started telling you what to do. Okay, invest in this, do this, and this. And first I actually started making money. So it's like, there's going to be, like, this just came to my mind. You can own an AI entrepreneur almost.
You own an AI entrepreneur.
Think about that.
Yeah, that's one way to think about it, right? Like, the AI itself is the creative genius.
Yeah.
And you just have
ownership to
control of it. It's crazy.
I mean, it's already kind of like with trading bots.
Yeah. Obviously, trading bots are notorious for being like scams, usually, right?
Yeah, it's true. I was talking to my friend about this. He's a trader, because like, in order for your trading bots to work, you need to code it yourself. Because like, if I sell you my trading bot and I sell all these people this trading bot, that doesn't really work because everyone is doing it.
I guess you're amplifying your results.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Like, if you do it with enough people, the actual fact of all these people buying the same thing, the same stock or whatever, is going to move the price of that stock. So then you cash out and then you make it sell. Like, benefit, right?
Yeah, like GameStop, what happened there? It's pretty crazy.
I'll admit, I didn't follow it very closely. Like, I just saw the memes.
So you weren't involved?
I wasn't involved.
What about with like crypto, meme coins?
Not meme coins as such. I have crypto.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a lot.
Yeah.
I bought some when like it was going up still, made a little bit of money. Nothing to change my life. Played around with it, but I wouldn't say I'm a crypto nut in any way. What about you? If you
I said a bit. So I mean, like, I started investing in stocks and crypto in the COVID crash. I mean, a blind man can't believe
we've talked about AI and not talked about COVID.
No, we're covering all the topics. A blind man could invest in COVID and made money, right? So like, yeah, I got into like crypto then and stocks, but recently I've been getting into kind of meme coins again, because like they've been trending on Twitter.
So what meme coin should I buy?
I don't know. The last 2 weeks I haven't really looked.
Not financial advice.
Not financial advice. No, I would just go on CoinMarketCap. I would go on like gainers, top gainers, top losers. I'd look at like the top gainers, right? Like 2,000% in a day type shit. I would click on it, and then within each chart, there's like a little chat. There's chat, and people will type like other coins. So I just go through this, find another coin, look into it. Okay,
You could do it. Pretty much. Then have you made some money with it?
Yeah, I made a bit of money. But I mean, I was throwing in so much that I also lost some money. So it's mostly just even, but it's fun.
It's fine. Like this, you've learned something from it, right?
Yeah, it's definitely fun too. Like seeing a coin go like,
And then,
as long as you get it up here, you're good.
yeah, it's buy the top, right? Buy the high and sell. Sorry, buy the low and sell the high.
Yeah.
Easy, right? Just that. Just keep repeating that. Yeah. What? All these traders, why are they complicating it? Just buy and sell at the right time.
So yeah, I think we should talk about COVID.
Oh, should we talk about COVID?
Yeah, I think we should get this podcast banned. Why not?
Let's do it. Sorry, you need to bleep through COVID.
Yeah.
The V, the Rona. Yeah, I mean, during the Rona, I was still in Scotland. I was in Scotland. And then I moved to London in the Rona.
Mhm.
And yeah, just like a succession. I don't know about, like, I was in Canada. Were you still in Canada at that point? Yeah. We had like 3, potentially 4. You could call it 4 lockdowns. Obviously, the first one unquestionable. The other ones afterwards were just like, okay, when is this going to fucking end? You know, like, come on, we need to get back to something that was normal, some form of formality, and maybe that's probably a frustration that like our generation have had of just like the prime years. Like for me, obviously, I would have been 21 when it started. So like the time in the life when you want to be like out and doing things and like having fun.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, like I remember because I was in high school at that time, and it was like, oh yeah, 2 weeks off school. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Wasn't 2 weeks. I graduated. I walked the stage on a Zoom call. That's how my parents saw me graduate, on a Zoom call.
Stage on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Pretty fun. But good times.
Yeah. Out to building, right? For a generation.
Exactly that. I guess I want to talk maybe a bit controversial topic of like the Wuhan lab. So like more's coming out now of like, okay, maybe it did escape the lab. They're saying the first people that had COVID were people working in the lab on these viruses.
I think that what surprised me, I don't know, I'm not going to speculate as to whether it came out of the lab or didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the consensus is that it didn't, but obviously we've seen that people are wrong about these things a lot. And obviously that's fine, like you just need to update the understanding. But what surprised me is like they found cases of it well before it was ever known that there was an outbreak in China. And there's like, I think they found people that had it like in the October before. So it was like the January time when it was like December, January when it became news that it was like an outbreak in China. And then it was like March 2020 when the lockdowns happened in Europe.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the way back there were people who had it and like thought it was a cold.
Yeah.
But obviously we didn't know about it, and then the spread happened and it was allowed to spread. So I do think it was mishandled of like it should have been contained at the beginning.
Yeah.
It was just contained at the beginning. Whether it came from a lab or a bat, who cares? Like,
I know.
Deal with the problem.
Yeah.
I think don't let it spread around the entire world just because like, oh, well, if we're gonna get hit by it, why not get everyone else hit by it? Which I think there's an element of that.
Yeah, I know for sure. And I also think, I think if there does come a time where something like this happens again, I think now we'll have more understanding and infrastructure in order to actually contain it.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, there's also an aspect of like control. Like, was it something about like control, or like was it actually something about safety? But it's hard. There's a blurred line between like control and safety.
Put it this way, I think wherever you stand on lockdowns, COVID's response, like how made up was it or whatever. Not saying I think that, but wherever you stand with it, I think there's a real damage has been done to people being told this is the fact and there's no other way to interpret this. You're not allowed to think differently to this. This is the accepted thing, and if you're not doing this, you're killing people. So when the next time that something like this happens, and it's the bubonic plague, where it's 40% of people die with it rather than like 0.3 or whatever, I don't think people will listen as readily. And there's a bit of a trust between like the public service and the public that's been damaged.
Yeah. Like, for example, in Canada with the truckers, I'm not sure if you saw that.
Yeah.
They were protesting the vaccine mandates. And Justin Trudeau, our prime minister, came out and said that their views are basically unjust and not allowed in this country. Yeah. It's like, my view is right, you're wrong, you're not allowed.
Yeah. And it's like, you can possibly agree with him. You can agree with either side of that. But to tell the other side, you're wrong, and therefore you're Hitler, and therefore you are a fascist, and therefore you are unacceptable and not allowed in a country. Do you know what I mean? It's not on. I think that's ruined some trust.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be my takeaway from it. It's like the next time that something happens, people are going to think, oh, it's COVID again. And if it's worse, if it's more deadly, if it's more serious, maybe they won't act as quickly.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think they acted quickly anyway, but they'll be even worse. That would be my worry with it, personally.
Yeah. I can definitely see that happening because, like, I mean, for me, I'm at a point now where if they're coming out and say, oh, there's this new blah, 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 I wouldn't give a fuck.
You're going to Mexico, or you're going to some other place where they're going to lock you down, right?
No, not at all. Yeah, because I think before COVID happened, I was very like, I didn't have solid beliefs on the world, and the beliefs that I might have had, I don't think they're mine. They're someone else's that I just acquired, or that were handed to me. I think definitely.
You never questioned them.
Yeah, exactly. I think through COVID and like all the information that I consumed, all the things that I saw, I definitely questioned everything. And I definitely have very strong beliefs now that are mine.
Yeah.
That I actually believe in because this is
clearly you thought about it.
Yeah.
That's a question that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember, like, just for example, I used to hate Trump for some reason. Don't know why I hated Trump.
Because everyone said it was cool to hate Trump.
Yeah. Not saying that I love Trump. Not saying that I hate him.
I don't love him.
Yeah.
But I don't hate him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I'm looking back, I'm like, why did I really hate him? I didn't know. Just did.
It's the echo of like, that's what people say. They're like, oh, he's a terrible thing. Oh, imagine him being president. Oh, he got elected.
Yeah. Also, it brings me to the question about like social media companies and like, I think right now in society, the more left-leaning view is more popular currently.
That depends on what your circle is, I think. But
yeah. But like overall, in like through social media, through corporate America, or all these things, the left.
TikTok. Let's just say TikTok is left.
Yeah.
Generally.
But the funny thing about that is like, so since it's popular, obviously the social media companies are going to push that more.
Yeah.
But they're only pushing it more because in reality they're capitalistic and they want to make more money. So it's kind of like it's funny that they're doing all these things.
Yeah. It's you're exactly right. You're spot on. They are benefiting from that. Whilst it's like anti-capitalist, where it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's reformist maybe, but the companies are making money off of that because they're just reselling the ads and they're capturing the attention.
Yeah. The most attention now.
And attention is the new currency.
It is. It really is. That's how I build first love. Don't get your attention.
Yeah, harvest it. AI farm the attention.
A lot of people say like it's a new oil, and I agree.
Yeah, but it's more. You don't have to mine it. You don't have to dig.
Yeah,
you got it. You just create it.
Yeah, create it. Pretty cool. It's a very pivotal place in society or time in the world that we're in history, and I think that we're in very, very good positions to like utilize and capitalize on all these new opportunities.
Let's hope. Let's hope it doesn't move too fast for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will to a certain extent, but I think we'll still be ahead of most. Yeah, I think, yeah, like even just like in terms of like gratitude, being born in the countries we were born in, with the opportunities that we were born with, like
Exactly.
they're very, very lucky. And like even right now in the lives that we're currently living in Bali, in a nice office with a studio,
Yeah.
like we are living a lot of people's dreams currently. So I think
Correct.
even if we do get left behind, are we still ahead? I don't know. It's all perspective.
And I think that, I don't know about you, but for me, growing up, I definitely got the sense of this, like, no, you need to like go get a job, like be a nice, productive member of society, but don't stick your neck out too much. Yeah. Don't put your head out too much. Just enough, have some ambition, but just enough to like do well enough. Just enough. Just over broke. Get a job. J-O-B.
Yes. I like that. I never heard that before.
I love it.
It's a good one.
And I think, like, obviously, that's very partly where I grew up. Moving to different places, you get different ideas. But just like being exposed online, this is the fantastic thing about social media, is that you hear people like, oh, echo chambers. But you put yourself in the right echo chambers,
yeah,
it helps you.
100%. I think, yeah, I had, like I was talking about this yesterday, and how we are in this very, like, through social media, and the way that, I don't know if you have done it, but myself, curated my social media, right? So I only follow people that provide me value, help me get like closer to my goals. And I'm in the echo chamber on social media, but then especially here,
it's a walking echo chamber.
Yeah, it's like the mindset, the what you do, the way you see the world, like very, 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 very similar.
Yeah.
And so it's like the reality that we're living right here is very different to like everywhere else. Like I think about back home, or like maybe it's London or the United States, and like the things that people are doing and the way people are living, and like how it still works over there. And then like it's like a whole another world, like another reality to me at this point, because I'm like, I've been here for quite a while, and yeah, like it's a very echo chamber,
but it's a positive echo chamber.
Very positive, yeah.
It's and then like echo chamber, obviously it's got this like negative label with it. But it's more like just like you're in a network of people that are like-minded, that are doing similar things, that are pushing, that are hungry for some success. Yeah. And it rubs off on you. It's like the whole, like, you're the average of the 5 people closest to you. Yeah. The quote is
huge. So like, I want to talk kind of about the way or how you, tools or resources that helped you form the mindset that you needed to. Because mindset is huge for entrepreneurship. So like maybe a book, maybe a person, a podcast, something like that. How'd you build up your mindset?
So the biggest thing that affected my mindset was I actually did, and this is going to sound like completely unrelated, but it was like a real estate property investment course. And it was like, I saw an ad for it. I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I'll sign up to it. It was like, I think it was £200 or something. And it was like a webinar thing. Mm-hmm. And in that, I never ended up doing it. Like, I've not ever bought a property or anything after it. I wanted to for a while, but things take a different route. And then you end up starting a SaaS business and whatever. Moving to Bali. At least coming to Bali for a while. Mm-hmm. And what that gave me is just like, it was looking at things from a different perspective. It was like, okay, what have you been told about, buying property, or like landlords? What do you think about when you hear the word landlord? Oh, slumlord. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, that's just a mindset. That's what you think, because that's the portrayal of them in the media. But there are lots of people who take rundown properties, do them up, like do work to them, and actually create higher living standards, and actually create nicer places for people to stay. Mm-hmm. And it was like a mindset shift of like, actually, that's not a bad thing. It's not necessarily, it can be exploitative, but it's not necessarily that. And there's a way in which you can do it where it's actually a good, and it provides a benefit to the world, right? Otherwise, there wouldn't be an incentive to do it.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, okay, you're going to encounter so many problems in the process of like buying a house to then refurbish it, to then like sell it on, or to then rent it out and refinance or whatever. And there's going to be so many hurdles and bottlenecks along the way. And at any point along that, you're going to want to quit. You're going to say, this is too hard. This is such a process. Like, you've got to go and do surveys. You've got to go and do, get quotes from builders. You've got to like this whole process, and it takes 6 to 9 months to complete the whole thing. And then you've got to deal with banks not wanting to lend to you. And then you've got to deal with this, and you've got to deal with that. And all these different things, if you don't have the mindset for it, you're not going to make it. And it was just this shift of like, actually, yeah, these are all inconveniences. They're all problems that you're going to have to solve. But the opportunity in this is bigger than those problems. And so if you start to see it not for the million things that can go wrong in that process, but the 5 ways in which it can go right, and try to optimize for the 5 ways in which it can go right, then you're gonna start seeing that, and you're more likely to look at it. But if you're always focused on like, how can this go wrong? And that's not to say don't think about how it can go wrong. Like, you should obviously think about the risks in what you're doing, and you should obviously think about having a plan B and having a backup plan, having another exit route. If you agonize over all these things, you'll never do anything. You'll never take any action.
Yeah.
And so the biggest thing I got from that course was, problems are everywhere. There's always going to be barriers, always going to be inconveniences. Don't let that stop you. Don't quit because it's hard. If it's hard, someone else will probably quit, which means more for you in the end.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
for sure. Like, for example, for me, starting a social media marketing agency, in the last year or so, it's been very popularized from Iman Gadzi, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people think, oh, like there's so much saturation in the market. There's so many agencies. And sure, while that might be true, many agencies are popping up. How many of them are going to stay? Right? Like you just said, the amount of people that start something and then quit is very, very high.
Yeah. And like, and all these things where they're kind of like sold as get rich quick schemes, right? Social media marketing agency, the SMMA is a hype train, right? Yeah. Same with like lead gen agencies. So a lot of our customers are lead gen agencies. And what you see is, with lead gen agencies especially, it's gone from, it was kind of a new thing, and it was very easy for them to get clients. It was very easy for someone to just start up a lead gen agency and get okay results and survive. But what you're seeing is, it's that kind of separation of the really good ones and then the people who are just giving it a go.
Yeah.
And the gap between those gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And as it gets more saturated, more people try it, more people fail. These guys just get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's probably the same thing in SMA, but I'm not fully sure of the particulars. But
yeah. No, most agencies, they're all like, they work very similar. But yeah, it's definitely very true. Like, there's the people that do there, and then the people that get really good. Yeah, and it's just becoming.
And it gets harder and harder to like move up, but you can do it
100%.
But you need to like, that's where I think it's now, for these sort of things, it's useful to get mentorship. Because if you get a mentor who's been through it, they can bring you to that level already, and then you're starting from that level.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just starting by yourself, you're kind of starting there.
Yeah.
Having to catch up,
The best analogy around mentorship that I've heard that helps people that may not think of membership as like a positive thing or something that will help them. It's like, there's a mountain you're trying to climb, right? And your mentor is someone that's climbed that mountain. They're at the top of the mountain. And so when you're at the bottom of the mountain, you're trying to climb up, you can't see all the obstacles. But they're at the top of the mountain, see everything down below.
Not only that, they've sorted it. Like, they've been there.
Yeah.
Right? They can tell you to not go there.
Hey, don't go there. Okay, come here. You do this. Like, yeah, it's huge.
You got a mentor?
Kind of, not like officially. I've got a couple, but I definitely want to get like an official, like every week talk. Like,
interesting.
Yeah.
So, what do you prefer? Do you like the fact that it's unofficial with these guys, or would you want it to be more like, I have a mentor?
I think I would like it to be more like, I have a mentor, because then a lot more accountability comes with that.
Fair.
I think accountability is very, very important. Because like right now, like, I'm getting good value, I'm getting good advice, but it's not like consistent, or maybe, So I think
for me, this is a big topic, because like, Ryan's super into like, wants to like invest in mentorship. And for me, I've never had a mentor. I've had mentors that have shown me the way in things, and they've just kind of naturally been that because of like the circumstances, whether it was like in my job or other projects. I've had people who've acted as mentors, and it's always been organic. It's always just been like from talking, and you just get value. It's never been like, can you be my mentor, please, sir? You know, like it's never been that thing. Yeah. But I'm increasingly more open to it, of like getting a mentor that's an actual mentor.
Yeah.
For me, it's just more like, okay, well, what's that mentor going to help us with? And like, how are they going to take us from where we are to and 10x that, you know?
I think it's also important to find someone that you really resonate with, whether it's what they do, their story, their background.
Yeah.
I think that's important too. Like just seeing yourself with them kind of a bit is important.
Yeah.
Forever. Yeah. It's like,
and if they can see themselves in you as well, that's super important as well. Because then they're like, oh, you know me when I was younger.
Yeah.
Let me help you, you know?
So I think we've touched on a lot of very good topics. I would definitely be very open to a round 2. We need to get Ryane on as well, so
maybe we could do it via Zoom.
Yeah, I think we could definitely do that. Just need to figure out some logistics. But I want to end off the interview with one last question.
Okay.
So, if your younger self was standing in front of you right now, what advice would you give to him?
Younger self, what age? What stage?
I think when starting your journey.
Starting my journey.
Either that, maybe like when you're 12 and you're coding, like that's when you started, or like maybe later, whatever you think is like.
To be honest with you, probably right from the beginning is just have some more confidence in yourself. Like have a bit of, like as we say in the UK, back yourself. You may not know all the answers. You may not have everything figured out. You may not have all the details sorted, but just believe in yourself that you can do it, and you can.
Yeah. I think it's very important, because I remember a pivoting point on my journey was I didn't believe that I could be a successful entrepreneur because, for example, I had a tech idea, right? Well, I don't know how to code. I don't know how to do this, that, and that. But what I came to realize is that I don't need to know how to do it in order for me to believe that I can, because it was just a belief that, okay, well, I'll figure it out. I'll find the right people. I can do this and I can do that. I may not know how to right in this moment, but I can find out how. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Well, thank you for coming on, Patrick.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Great.
Yeah, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks, guys.